Hello everyone, and welcome to a breakdown of what I think is the DMZ mode, some leaked gameplay that just came out a couple days ago. You might have already seen, and if you haven't already, I'll try and leave a link down in the description to some of that. Obviously, this video will not have any of that gameplay in it. I'm not going to do that. Me being such a small channel, obviously, it'll just get wiped off the face of the earth. So we're not going to do that. But we will try and provide a very in-depth breakdown of what I saw in that video. Maybe some things that you might not have heard yet. And yeah, let's get into it. Leave a like on the video if you do end up enjoying this, and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's see what we got. So first things first, this leaked gameplay is separated into two separate clips that were recorded from different players, I'm guessing. Maybe it's the same player, but different matches most certainly. And they're also recorded at the very, very start. In fact, in the second clip, you can see that countdown timer that we're very used to seeing in MW on the top of the screen blink to 1. And then go away, and that's when that second clip ends. So both of these clips are at the very, very beginning. So the first clip and the second clip, I believe they're both from the DMZ mode. I'm almost 100% sure of that. And the first thing I want to cover is the guns that we see in them. So the first clip has two different guns that we can identify. The first gun being a modern AK, like an AK-103 perhaps. It's all blacked out in all that wonderful plastic that we're used to in the modern world. And what's very interesting, right, is whoever's playing this reloads the gun, right, and then switches guns, and he pulls out a Russian PP Vitness, which, in case you don't know what that is, it's a 9mm AK. So he has two AKs on him. One of them being an assault rifle version, right, with a longer barrel, the AK-103, and then the other one being the Russian Vitness, which is the automatic version of what we can get here in the States called the KP9. In case you've heard that before or seen videos of that before, you can see people shooting that all over the internet. So it's very interesting to me that there's two guns which are both AKs, right? Because if we know from MW 2019, with the gunsmith system, we can convert guns from SMG-like weapons to assault rifle-like weapons. And here we have an assault rifle AK and an SMG AK in the same with the same person, which means if those were the same gun, going by, of course, past logic, you wouldn't be allowed to have a primary and secondary of the same gun. That just hasn't been a thing in Call of Duty ever. Now, of course, this is the DMZ mode, where you can pick up different guns and perhaps eventually actually have a stockpile of multiple guns of the same type. So it is possible that these are the actual same gun. I mean, it would kind of make sense that they could be. It's certainly possible. But I do think that they're actually different firearms. I think, well, I mean, obviously they're different firearms, but I think they might actually be different guns in the game. Like, one might be in the SMG category, and one might be in the AR category. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. I'm not quite sure on this. But I do believe the gun system is back. So if that is true, then what does this mean? Right? Okay, on to our next clip. We see a guy holding an M4. This M4 looks almost exactly the same as the one from MW 2019. I will say perhaps the handguard looks actually a bit more rounded, kind of like a I don't know, one of those Daniel Defense ARs, perhaps? I'm not 100% sure on that. Obviously, it's very hard to see, and these videos are very blurry, but it looks very much so like the MW 2019 M4. I'm wondering if this is going to change at some point, perhaps? We'll have to wait and see, obviously. And then the second gun, or the last gun, the fourth gun, in fact, that we've seen in these two clips, is on the back of in the second clip, this guy's teammate. I'm assuming this guy's squad mate. And this gun on the back looks kind of like an over-under shotgun, kind of like the 725 from MW 2019, or it could perhaps actually be a lever gun. And the reason why I bring that up is because the receiver of the gun, right, the main kind of part of the gun where all the action happens, right? I call that the receiver, and the metal of that receiver actually looks kind of silver, like a platinum kind of finish. And typically, this is something that you might see in a lot of lever guns. It's also perhaps something that you would see in maybe a Marine shotgun too. And I don't mean Marines as in the Marines. I mean they just call it a Marine finish because it's supposed to be more resilient to weather and water. resistant. So that's interesting to see. Perhaps it's a lever gun. It's very likely a shotgun, though. It does have a very long barrel. So perhaps it's just a shotgun. Okay, I already stated that I am almost sure that the gunsmith system is back in Modern Warfare 2. And the reason why I say this is on the left side of the screen in this video, there's some UI. And in that UI, very, very similar, actually, to MW 2019 UI, where when you spawn in, it shows your weapon on the left side of the screen. You can see that here, except it's a little bit broken. In fact, it seems very broken at the moment of this gameplay. But keep in mind, of course, that this clip, according to, I think, Tom Henderson, I'm not sure actually, but according to one trusted leaker, that this clip, these clips, obviously, right, there's two of them, were from about a year ago. So keep that in mind, but it's very broken, this UI. And in fact, I believe what's going on is it's showing each individual attachment next to each other in that UI, right? So instead of putting them all together on one gun, like it does in MW, and like I'm assuming it will do eventually in MW2, it's showing each individual attachment. At least I think that's what's going on. It could be possible that some of these attachments, of course, are equipment or something else in the loadout, but I'm pretty sure, just judging by the past game, MW 2019, that these are actual attachments. So this means we can get an idea to how many attachments each gun has. The KMP, or sorry, not the KMP, but the KP9, I'm going to start counting the KP9, because that's, or the VITNAZ, right, the PP VITNAZ, depending on which way you want to say, the American version versus, of course, the Russian version, which I'm assuming this is actually supposed to be, so perhaps I should call it the VITNAZ. Anyway, getting into it, right, it has 4 attachments. At least it looks like it has 4 attachments. It's possible that one of these things I'm calling the attachment is the actual gun itself, so we could keep that in mind. It's also possible that it's showing both the guns, right? The AK-109 that this guy was holding, or the AK, sorry, not 109, 103 that this guy was holding, and the KP9, and then as well as the 2 red dots, right? Because actually, the AK-103 has a red dot, and the Russian VITNAZ has what looks like a hollow sight on it. Perhaps. It could be a red dot, but it looks to me like it's probably a hollow sight. So it's very interesting. So it could be 2 guns, 2 attachments, or it could just be showing the attachments on the person's gun that he's holding at the time. I'm guessing it's actually 2 guns, 2 attachments. That's my guess, which also leads to more points that the AK-103 and the Russian VITNAZ, the PP VITNAZ, are separate guns in Modern Warfare 2. Now onto the second clip with the guy holding the M4. It looks like he has 10 different attachments on this gun. Now, of course, I'm saying 10 different attachments. This is 10 different little things that look like they could be attachments, they could be guns. I don't really know, because obviously the UI isn't flushed out, so some of these things might not be rendering correctly. So 10 different things, right? So just as we said before with the Russian VITNAZ and the AK-103, this could mean that he has 2 different guns, each with 4 attachments, perhaps. That could be possible. It is to note that he definitely at least has 1 attachment on the M4. It has that same hollow sight that the PP VITNAZ had on it. But other than that, it's not very obvious as to what other attachments he might have. It could be that barrel he has on, perhaps. Who knows, right? But 10 different attachments, so that's interesting here. Or at least 10 different things that he has in his loadout. So while we're on the topic of UI, I thought it'd be interesting to just go over everything that I can see on the screen, everything I've been able to pull out. So the first thing is that there's some startup dialogue right above where this weapon UI we were just talking about was, right on the left-hand side. There's some startup dialogue, and it's the same in both clips, so I know from that, at least, it looks the same in both clips. We can't actually see the dialogue, it's very blurry, but it looks exactly the same to me. So I'm nearly 100% sure both of these are at least from the same game mode, and I believe it is DMZ, and I'll get to some details here in a little bit as to why I think that is. So now, moving away from that top left-hand corner of the screen, let's go down to the bottom right. So in the bottom right-hand of the corner of the screen, it looks very much so like MW 2019. I'm guessing this is placeholder UI, because this is also the same with your bottom left. Both of them basically look exactly like you would see loading into Warzone right now. So, with that being said, though, above the right side UI, right where there's normally kill streaks, say when you play multiplayer, there's 2 symbols. One of them almost kind of looks like a recon symbol. Kind of. It's very hard to make out. It could be anything, but that's kind of what I get from it. Not sure, though. You'd have to take a look for yourself and tell me what you think. Perhaps these are kill streaks. Maybe not kill streaks, I mean, but perhaps they are from the multiplayer kill streaks, but they're equipment you get to use at some point throughout the DMZ experience, right? Perhaps maybe you bought these, maybe you found them somewhere, you can use them. Who knows, right? I'm assuming they're probably pretty expensive, though, right? I would hope so, being in this very tactical mode. So that's what you see down in the bottom right-hand corner. And also, something quick, funny to note, that this is obviously placeholder UI. The PP Vitnaz shows up as an MP7 from MW 2019 in the bottom right-hand corner, right? So there you go. Definitely placeholder UI. Obviously, it's not an MP7. It's very easy to see that. So just a funny note to say. And lastly, with this whole UI thing, in the top of the screen, you can see that the compass is missing at this point in the build. I'm not sure if they're making some changes to the compass, if they just haven't added the compass in there. Currently, all that's there is like the shading that usually is around the compass, like some dark kind of shading, but there's no visual markings of the compass or anything like that. So perhaps they're changing the compass, perhaps they just haven't loaded in yet. I'm not sure. Last but not least, in the topic of UI, there's something I haven't heard any other YouTuber talk about. And this is the sole reason that I am nearly 100% sure this is DMZ. There's a symbol on the screen that's in the background, and you can tell it's in the background because it actually floats over the player's gun as he's doing his weapon inspect. And this symbol, to me, looks like a campsite symbol. It's an A, essentially like an A without the bar across it, right? That completes the A. Typically this little like hut symbol that we use for maybe bivouacs, right? If you remember from what game was it? That game was on the island. Can't quite remember it actually off the top of my head. Perhaps I'll put something in the video here. But it's that symbol. So I'm guessing maybe this could be an extraction site, right? Obviously we know this is probably some kind of extraction game mode. So this could be the extraction site. Although it wouldn't make tons of sense to me that they use this symbol. This could be a placeholder though, so you never know. Of course, this is an early build. This also could be like a campsite, so you could get supplies from the campsite, perhaps, or maybe it's a point of interest that you can go loot. Also, it could be some place that you can store and cache what you have looted, perhaps. Maybe that's how you can get some stuff out and then go back in, risk some more of your time before extracting to try and get even more. But I thought this was very interesting, and this, to me, there's no way this is Warzone at this point, right? If that symbol's there, I mean, why would Warzone have a symbol like that? That makes no sense to me. So this is definitely DMZ gameplay. Okay, getting away from AI, I want to now talk about the map that we're seeing here for this DMZ mode, and it could also be the map that's used for Warzone 2 as well. So let's go over the views that we see. In the first clip, we have this guy walking up this hill. It's very sandy and rocky, right? Lots of like orange and brown with very little grass, a little bit of green here, like splotched in there and there, right? So it's very different from what we just saw with Caldera, that's extremely green, and it's also very different than Verdansk. So it seems to me like there's most likely going to be quite a bit of maybe some open space covered by some brush, some shrubbery, right? You're going to have to pick your routes that you go across some spaces. But we do see in the second clip that there will be plenty of buildings, most likely as well. These buildings look very rural to me. I can't really say that word very well, but they look very rural to me. Rural to me, right? So it looks like some kind of like small town, perhaps. Again, right? The colors mostly browns, and there's some tall grass, still brown, with a couple of trees. And in fact, the only thing I think that's green in this picture is a bush. There's a single bush that's green. Everything else is brown or orange colored. So that brings us to the question, what is this map? Where is it? So it could be South America. We've heard a lot of leaks already that there's going to be some campaign down in South America where Task Force 141 goes in, does some stuff to who knows what exactly, but figures out, I don't know, some locations down in South America, and that could be the location of this map. But I think from the way that these buildings are constructed, that this is actually Uzbekistan. And Uzbekistan being that fictional Middle Eastern country from MW 2019. If you remember back during MW 2019's life cycle, it was maybe about like halfway through, right? When Warzone was out and in full-blown force, there was this leak that there's a Uzbekistan map that was being worked on, and that we were thinking that maybe it would come to MW at some point during its life cycle, before it got towards the end. Well, I think that this map, this leak, might have actually been true. But of course, the truth is, right, if you're working on a map back in MW 2019's life cycle, that map's not coming out for 2019, right? I think that map was going to come out for Warzone 2. I think that's the idea for it, and I think it's going to come out for Warzone 2 and DMZ, and I think that is the map that we're looking at here, right? This building structure, I can't talk. This building structure looks like some Middle Eastern buildings. To me, that's what they look like. Obviously, I've never actually personally been to the Middle East or anything like that. I've also never been to South America either, but from viewing things on the internet, that's what it looks like to me. You can give me your opinion and let me know down in the comments, perhaps. Do you think this is the Middle East? Do you think this is Uzbekistan? Do you think it's South America? I'm leaning towards Uzbekistan. Well, that's all I have for you guys here today. If you enjoyed, please leave a like on the video. That helps me out a lot. Leave some comments down below. Tell me what you think about the guns. Tell me what you think about the gunsmith system. Is it coming back? Is this actually DMZ gameplay? And is it Uzbekistan? Is it South America? Tell me what you think. Also, if you haven't already subscribed, I'll be going over leaks whenever they come out periodically. I'm not going to go over every single thing, but whenever I feel like I have some extra insight that some of the main YouTubers don't, I'm going to try and throw this out there like I did with this video. And of course, we have our Funny Moments videos that are be coming out pretty soon. I'm getting done with finals week here, so there should be tons more content coming your guys' way. And of course, Custom Zombies always, because Custom Zombies is amazing. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.